Alright, bit of a bonus video for this week, and I'm recording it all on the smaller monitor so we don't run into the same graphical glitches that we've been running into more recently. But I'm doing a little bit of backtesting, just in trying to prepare myself for this coming week and figure out where the weakness is in my trading system, how I can go about uh, winning more than I lose. And I'm beginning to think that part of that is because I try to manage the trade and like micromanage the trade instead of letting it play out as it actually needs to play out. So I've got the charts open here. We're going to go ahead and start this from April 1st. So I'm going to draw a vertical line on the chart just so that we have a visual marker of where that backtest is starting. And the rules of this backtest are going to be very simple. It's going to be anytime that we test the zone, I'm looking for an entry. And anytime we exit the zone, I'm looking for, or sorry, anytime we test the zone from the top, I'm looking for a long position. Anytime that we test the zone from the bottom, I'm looking for a short position. Um, and I guess I'm going to have to run both type 1s and type 2s just to be honest with myself, because if I'm trying to make this as robotic as possible, then that may very well be what we have to start implementing. Is all right, every single time we hit a type 1, put on a position. Every single time we hit a type 2, put on a position. And then we're going to run these. I actually have 3 tabs on this spreadsheet. I'm just going to start running through the first one here because this is going to take a while. So this could be the world's most boring video, but I figured I'm going to record it anyways. And I'm going to record a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and then a zone to zone risk to reward ratio. Obviously, I think zone to zone, when you catch those runners, it should far outweigh the losers. My challenge would be, all right, we buy here, it goes up, and it doesn't ever actually hit that zone. How do I manage my stop? And that's why Don teaches he's looking to trade zone to zone, but it all comes down to you're trailing your stop, and that way you get in that position. It starts scooting up. After a while, you begin trailing the stop like 2 hours behind wherever the hourly candle's at, and then at some point it may very well come back down and tag you out. So on a trade like this one, let's look at our first trade, or I should say our first set of trades. I'll try to zoom in on this to make it nice and workable for us. Uh, we are technically above that. That looks super weak to me. I'm going to completely ignore an EMA and everything else and just focus on the price action. We come down, we hit that type 1, and my stop would be, I would want it right below that long wick right there. And I'm doing my best. Honestly, actually, no, let's do the bar replay mode. How do I activate that? Replay. And jump to this bar. Right? Jump to here. There we go. Do I have to click it, or I can do shift and forward, or I can shift and down and replay. Alright, we hit the zone. We're going to take a type 1, and my stop, I already said it's going to be below this wick. I would be tempted to try to use this one, but this right here, that long wick and that strong rejection, looks to me like where I would want my stop loss. And that would afford me one contract here. So that trade's going to be 8 a.m. on April 1st. So, and I'm actually going to have to do, let's insert a column to the right. Contracts traded on this. Everything we do, we're going to risk $200 per trade. So contracts traded, it's going to be 1 because that's all I could afford on that. And so, and P&L dollars. So 1 contract traded, stop loss down there, and the 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio is going to be up here. Okay. So there's that. We're going to continue stepping this thing forward. There's our type 2. So we'll go ahead, put on our type 2, same stop loss, but our 2-to-1 is going to be right there. Come on now. Where is it? Right there. And that's going to be 4 contracts traded on April 1st at 10 a.m. So step it forward, and we just tagged out of both of them. All right, so it's going to be loss, loss. I just realized I have to measure this all now when I do that. Piano points minus 31.5, and P&L in points on that one is going to be minus 10. And that this should equal that times 5 times the number of contracts. And yes, that's what I want. And we're going to go ahead and extend this all the way down. So there we go. So tagged out of both of them. Those both ended up being losses. Let's go ahead and zoom these back over here. And we'll keep stepping this forward. Now the question is, do I count that as, if I switch to 4 hours, is it going to mess this up? No. Okay, what do we got? See, this is where the subjectivity of price action gets into it, because I look at this and I go, all right, we just had a longer than expected wick, but that still looks like a long play to me. So I actually would not want to play that. Just because like we closed the 4-hour candle right there, I would almost be tempted to take one more long position as a type 2 with my stop down here. But I'm not going to make this any more complicated than it needs to be. So let's kick that back to the hourly. Breakdown. Break up and above 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the 4th. Man. Following my rules, that has to be an entry. I don't like that though. And maybe this is just because I know what's coming. So I'm just going to go ahead and blindly follow the rules, and then we can worry about tweaking later. But stop would be below there, so I can afford one contract with my 2-to-1 being right there. And so that's April 4th at 2 a.m. I'm not awake at 2 a.m. So that's not going to happen. So actually we're just going to disregard that. 6 a.m., 7 a.m. All right, now we'll start looking for things. We come down, we retest. I would get the type 1 there. I'd be awake for that. Retest right there. There's your type 1. I keep wanting to delete these because I feel like they're in the way, but all right. So 2-to-1, it's going to be super far away. And so that is about 8 a.m. April 4. And then we do now realistically, I would have my stop in the green. But we're blindly following rules right now. So I'm only following a trading system that says like my stop loss is going to be right there. But blindly following a rule set to see what happens if I don't micromanage trades. I'm already in a trade. I'm not going to enter another type 1. Now, would I enter that type 2? If I'm following the rules, I have to. So we'll move this over here. We'll do a type 2. I don't like this. This would not happen given my current trading situation, but that's why I'm trying to just establish some rules, blindly follow them, and see what happens. Now that being said, nothing about this setup looks great because we just hit the zone, we pushed up, we made what looks like a lower high, and we're coming back down to retest that, and that to me looks like, all right, this needs to come back down again. So I would not want this trade. There's nothing about this that would stand out to me as like, oh yeah, that's the trade I want to be in. So I could afford two contracts there, and that is 2 o'clock in the afternoon on April 5th. And I would have two contracts. There it is. Stopped out of both of those. So, loss and loss. Loss for this one is going to be about 37.25 points. And this is going to be, what's that, about 14.75 points. Okay. So we've gotten some nice losses. Carrying on. And this is the point where you'd be looking for a retest short. If it's going to give it to us. I mean, there's obviously several trading days going past here, but if we're just being super religious about this, okay. Type 1 short, 2 p.m. on the 7th. Where would I want my stop to be? Probably right above there. That's about all the more I could do. So in an instance like this where I can do like 1.11 contracts, right? There's no instance here where I'm going to be able to do two contracts without stopping out inside of the zone, and I don't want to stop out inside of the zone. So I'm just going to go ahead and stretch this thing out, and it's going to be the most boring thing in the world. No, I will do this. Keep it above that wick. Just because that will affect my 2 to 1 actually. So let's run it 2 to 1. There's that. And what I said, it was April 7th at 2 p.m. One contract traded. That would be so annoying. You'd be watching this trade just bounce around doing nothing for the longest time. And there we go. Finally had a winner. So there's a winner, and that is 57.75 points. And so I got $288 out of that. All right. Moving on. Okay. Type 1 of this zone. That's a big zone. Am I able to trade that? Would I want to trade it at 9? I mean, all right, so that would be 9 p.m. on the 11th. One contract. No, that should say win, not win or loss. Okay. I would have a limit order set for that type 2 by now. Are you going to give it to me? Look at that. It never hit. Alright, hold on. You'd be super strict because it's at 2.01. It would have avoided me by like one tick. Haha. Could you imagine? You're just running your trading, not thinking anything of it, like not even factoring in, this area right here is potential speed bump zone. Like, come on, that price action right there, everything about that screams that this is not an area that you want to try to hold on through. And sure enough, we hit that. Like, I would have an alert set there. So this is hard to backtest because I'm trying not to have too much control. This is just blind backtesting, but this is very informative as to, like, that would be the world's most infuriating trade. You come up, you hit that. Everything about that should be a profitable trade. That happened at 8 o'clock in the morning the next day. Like, I would 100% have my stop in the green, probably down here ready to tag out. But that's not what this is backtesting. And so we're just going to go ahead and ignore that and continue backtesting. We hit the type 1. We're going to come and make a lower high now, right? That's an overnight bounce, just judging for those candles. Yeah. Overnight moves. Yeah, after hours. Are we gonna break out? All right. Type 2 entry gets started there. This is where trailing a stop loss is going to be such an important skill set because you pushed up, you tagged out, it came down. You got back in it and probably had a stop right about there. Tagged out, came back down, got back in. It started pushing up. I would have gotten the alert right there. Had my stop probably right here. Tagged out, got back in. So I would have had 3 winning trades just following what Don teaches and trailing on like a, 2 hours behind or something like that. So I'm already not liking this backtest. Let's go ahead and do that. Do that. And our 2-to-1 on that, if we get a bounce out of it at all, is going to be right there. So there's that. Let's keep that wide. That is at 17th of April. April 17th that's at 6 o'clock in the evening. And that is 2 contracts traded. So really, I'm already seeing tremendous value in trading this way, but with the exception of you trail your freaking stop loss because this is about to tag me out for 2 losses here. Look at that. That's that's a bear flag. Like, everything about that picture perfect. Now, granted, it is overnight, but I don't trust that for a second. That to me looks like we're getting ready to come down. Oh, okay. Hit profit on that one. So that one actually is a winning trade. And our P&L on that one in points value anyways would be 28.25. So there's a nice little $280 winner. We still have to figure out what's going to happen with this other trade that we're in, which is probably going to be a loss right about here. Nope, we're just getting choppy and sideways. Not really a lot of good trade entries. And here's where we take a loss, right? Oh, I need to take this over here so I know that that's what happened. Now the question is, would I get back in a type 2 were the opportunity to present itself? There we go. Finally hit profit on that trade. That was stupid. That was really stupid. So I guess that's the downside of trading a trade like this where you only have 1 contract in it. You need it to run, in this case, about 80 points in order to actually get a winner. And we got it. I would have taken 40 different trades in that process. That'll be one for the more subjective style later on, which is going to be, it's going to be hard to backtest that because I'm going through this now and saying, all right, well, here's what I would have done. Like this one, when I see this base out here, I would have my stop right here and actually gotten tagged out. So I would have missed out on some profit on that. This trade right here, never really, it left the zone, then it pulled back. I wonder I probably would have tagged profit before I had a chance to trail anything. So, um, cool. We're gonna mark that as a winner, and that was, what did I just say that was? 79.5 points. I can't type right now. So actually, that was our biggest winner yet. It took several days for it to happen, but it was our biggest winner yet. Okay. So now we are still speed bumping it up right there, huh? We're either looking for a short there or a long there. That's what the rules indicate. Do 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 do. Dancing around a speed bump zone. Nice and boring. You know, I'm also realizing that if you do decide to trade this way, you are, all right, type 1 long right here. You're actually looking at a trading style that is super boring because look, it's now the 21st of April. And if you're going to trade this way, what did I do? I'm going to put my stop right below that low. Not like it's going to make much of a difference, but it would allow me to hit profit up here in this speed bump. And so that would be sort of what I'm aiming for there, I guess. But 21st of April at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, there's a weird trend with 2 o'clock in the afternoon hitting zones. And it's going to be one contract. All right, hit that type 2. And the great thing is once you pick a direction, it gives you a chance to be super aggressive. And see, I would never want to actually do that, but there we are. Just because, like, I would be like, oh, we're going to hit profits so fast, but maybe that's just how we view it. So the 21st of April at 1900, that's 7 o'clock. And I have 4 contracts. This is also assuming that your account has that kind of buying power, but okay, so we hit profit on that one. These type 2s are like surefire winners, it seems. So the win on that one is going to be, what's that? 18 points. Yeah, that's just a super, I mean, that's a heavy overnight position. And in all reality, I'd be concerned about market makers coming down and tagging that out for the fun of it, but don't really have a way of backtesting that. So here we are. That's not a good sign. There we go, took a loss. Alright, someone's tagged out for a loss, and we lost 35.25 points. Oops, minus 35.25. Cool. And that is 8 o'clock the next day. So this morning just got us started. Oh, is that a retest? I would trade that retest. And the reason I'm confident in saying I would trade that retest, we just got this. This was a higher high. For all intents and purposes, this should have been the lowest that it went. Was the previous low. We came down, we busted that, and then within 15 minutes, we shot back up and retested. And that's the kind of price action where I've learned with futures. If you get tagged out at 1 and you get the opportunity, like we got a solid red candle close below that, we pushed back up, we tagged it for a retest, and that to me is a an excellent short opportunity, and I'd stop out right there. So my 2-to-1 is going to be getting close to that zone. There we go. So that's going to be April. I feel like I should have type 1, type 2, type 3 on all of these. Shouldn't I? That'd be a helpful feature. Let's insert a column real fast while I still remember what I just did. Type. And I probably should have an indication for long or short, but I don't want to fill out that much information right now. So type 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. I have to. I'll be too OCD if not. Wait, I don't remember all those. I don't care. I don't feel like going back through my chart. So here we go. So type 1 on April 22nd at 9 o'clock in the morning. We got a type 1 short for one contract. That should be a winner, it looks like. Don't do that. There we go. We have a winner. And following the rule set, we're actually going to tag out of this trade. So we're going to lock in the win on this one and start piling in our orders for this zone. So that's going to be a type 1 right there. That would be a tough thing for me to do. Because I would almost like rather, all right, here's my stop. Let's see what kind of interaction we get and see if it is going to bounce or if we're going to get a continuation. Because a sell-off like this, like, yeah, I mean, it is a zone, but I would almost rather ride that thing to a type 2 than manually close out my position and try to take a type 2. But once again, that would be extra 60.25 points gained. That'd be extra work that I don't have the capacity to do right now. Oh, sorry, I forgot about the type 1 long. Type 1 long and stop would be 42.64 just because of that wick. Yeah, the times that we have bounced, that seems a little far to me. I would, yeah, 42.64, 42.64 or 42.65 would be where I'd be looking to get out. And even then, that basically has to be a zone-to-zone play for that type 1. And so that is, what am I trying to say? Oh, I was like, what am I looking at? The date, April 22nd at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Type 1, contracts traded, 1. Alright, I'm going to hit the type 2 and then tag me out. Actually, would it have? Because we just got a huge wick there. Alright, let's crunch this down. We hit the type 2 because would I have set it right there? Probably would have set it a little higher. I would set my type 2s a little bit above the bottom of the zone because I've seen it too many times where I don't actually get it right. It's not going to matter on this though because I'm still going to take a full loss, I think. Or not. Nope. We might actually, yeah, we're going to get a winner out of that. Alright, so interestingly enough, we run into these situations where my type 2 is going to be 3 contracts entered at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What did it say? 3 contracts? 3 contracts. And so those are going to be a win of 21.5 points. Oops, type 2, 3 contracts, win of 21.5 points. And this type 1 is going to be a loss of 35 points. So the interesting thing that I'm noticing is that even like just running the trades this way, you take a type 2 and you're probably hitting your profit within the zone. You're still looking at, like, even taking a loss on the type 1, you're still making money, which is really strange to me. I would not have thought that it would work out that way, but apparently it does. So I would not be looking for a re-entry on this. I would be questioning if I had my stop too tight. And actually, depending on how that candle looks like there's a lot of rejection, a lot of sellers coming through. I don't think I'd be looking for a re-entry at all, though. And I am going to do a, let's just do net P and L equals the sum of this column, just so we can track that as we go along. So we're up $910 through the time that this experiment's been running, which is the month of April. Risking $200 at a time with absolutely no management after the position's put on. What time is that? All right, so market's closed. We're going to start drifting up overnight, it looks like. Oh, we're going to hit a speed bump. Is that the next day already? 1 o'clock in the morning? So after seeing this, I would be looking for a type 1 type 1 short. Are we going to get it? There it is. Type 1 short. April 25th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Put my stop. It has to be a little bit closer. That would bug me so much. So I'm actually going to risk a little bit more than my normal maximum risk on that, just because we've got strong wicks right here. Everything in my body is screaming to put my stop right here. And so I would go ahead and pick up a little bit of additional risk and probably hate myself if that was actually wrong. Because, you know, the time that you decide to scale up your risk for no reason, you're probably looking at some losses. Yeah, I mean, even the instances that this zone has played out as a short zone. This is Don's zone, by the way, so this one right here, I see it. I don't like this zone. It's not the most well-respected zone that we've ever experienced, but it's what Don has drawn, so we're gonna stick with it just for my simplicity. Yeah, this would be super annoying because it basically has to be zone to zone, and I'm risking more than what I normally would. But that would also indicate to me that my take profit's going to be a little bit further out. So it's April 25th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. One contract. All right. Overnight hours. That would have tagged me in. I don't know if I would have liked that entry so much, but no, let's give it time. That for sure would have tagged me in, even if I follow my rule of putting it slightly beyond. And I would have my stop right here for this. That's 2 contracts, and our 2 to 1 is going to be right here. So it's going to be at 9 o'clock in the evening. That's going to be a loss. Oh, look at that. That's not a good look. That's all happening overnight, too. Ah, so hopefully you see some selling in the morning, but we like kind of broke the zone and are now consolidating inside of it. That's nerve-wracking. Okay, we got it. We got the win. So that trade did end up being a win. I did not think that trade was going to work out, and it ended up being a 36.75 point win. Is there a way to measure? Oh yeah, there we go. It tells me right at the top 37, and then my loss is 18 and a half. Let's go with that 37. Nice. I can actually use the tool for its intended purpose. Way to go, Zach. You learned something today. Coming on down, and that would irritate me so much. Are we gonna get a win on this one too? That would be awesome. Come on. There it is. All right, so we got a win on that one as well. That's a 85.5 point win. Nice $400 winner on the one that we picked up some more risk on. Wow, I would not have expected that. I 100% would have tagged out of those trades way earlier than that. That is really fascinating to me, actually. That type 1 short, everything about that just screams that it's a terrible, terrible idea and it's not going to work out. And it worked out just fine. It took, how long is that? 1 day and 1 hour to get there. And maybe this is something that I should be keeping track of a little bit better too, is the actual trade duration, because I would not have expected these trades to be running this long. But there you have it. That actually worked out. Wow. Okay. Let's finish backtesting April, since that's the month we started. We'll go ahead and just keep running this through. Type 1, type 2. Oh goodness. Alright, let's back that out and figure out, alright, our stops would be down here. That would be crazy. Okay. And I'll delete these since they're in the way. And this little line that I drew. Alright. So I'm zooming out just so I can see. Actually, when you look at the 4-hour trend, that doesn't look so bad. Everything about that's like, oh yeah, that's a perfect zone play. The hourly's all over the place. Like, look at what looking at the hourly does to you emotionally. You're just getting whipsawed in the 4 hours, just like, yeah, we're coming down. No big deal. Like, that is so much simpler. So anyways, our stop is going to be down here. I'm going to draw another line just so I have that and can actually see it when I go to zoom back in on the hourly, because that would be where everything's at. Man, we got the type 1 and the type 2 long all at once. That's not a good look. Not at all. Alright, there's our type 1. That's April 26th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Type 1, we got one contract, and then April 26th. And obviously these would not actually be at the same time, but I'm way too lazy to figure out what time the trade would have actually occurred. Doesn't really matter that much, except for determining like maybe our average time in the trade. Man, and that's still, I'm only getting one. I would I would break my rules and risk 2 on this one. Yeah. Because 1.18, I would be super annoyed to not get that trade filled, or to not have not have two contracts that are type 2. Like a type 2 where I'm only in one contract doesn't feel good enough. So I'm going to cheat, probably take a loss because of it, take a larger loss than expected. Oh, we shot right back up. Testing it from the top, and there's our profit on that one. That one would have worked out just fine. Once again, I don't trust myself enough. That's what I'm learning right now. I don't have any faith in myself. These are Don's zones. I have complete faith in his zones. I would not have the same faith if I drew them myself, which is a weakness on my part as a trader. I need to get to the point where I can draw the same zones, the same accuracy that Don does. So that would have been a 42.5 point winner. Oh, sorry. Win 42.5, $425 winner. And it is yet to be seen if the type 1 will end up working out. I do not expect it will. We got a retest and a push. That's not a good look. Oh my gosh. It just keeps going. What in the world? I traded this day, didn't I? Alright, there's our profit. 72.5. That's incredible. I'm pretty sure I traded this day. What day was this? 27th of April. Yeah, I traded that, right? That was last week. Right? 2 weeks ago. I did not trade this day. Wow. So this trade lasted 20 hours. Oh, not even our longest running trade. And it went whip, 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 and then hit my profit. That's amazing. I would not have expected that. I would have tagged out probably right here. So there we have it. All right. Keep pushing on. Like I said, we're going to finish April. I'm out of all trades right now, so I would technically have to trade a retest if we got one. I would really love a retest of that zone up there, though. Really love that. And we're not going to get it. Oh, come on. Boom. Type 1 short. Type 1 short. We're going to do the same thing that we did previously with the stop right about there. And, would I wouldn't want to play it that close. Where would I play it? Probably right here. That would keep me within risk parameters. I feel a little bit better about that trade. Oops. Let's pull that over one. Close enough. And so that is 28th of April at 12. That's going to be one contract for a type 1. Type 2 short comes in an hour later. Alright, just keep that a little bit wider. So it's going to be at 1 p.m. Type 2. 3 contracts traded on that. Probably taking a full loss. Oh, we almost hit profit. Boom, profit hit. Alright, so profit on the type 2. We just got a winner. And that was a 27-point winner. 405 points. Or sorry, $405 winner. Risking $200 at a time. We will go ahead and let that gapped. What was that? Come on, you can do it. That almost looks like it's curling over. Let's go. Boom. There we go. So we got our winner on that. And that is April 29th. We got our win. Nice. And that is a 74.5 point win. Type 1 long. 29th of April at 1 p.m. Same trade that we did before. Right there. Going up to about right there. Oh, and tagged out and took the loss on that one. And that was the Bulls giving up on life, because if you thought, I mean, that's like a really, I don't use the word double top a lot, but I mean, look what just happened there. You got that push, we made a low, we pushed up, we failed to make a higher high, and we're coming down to that zone. So in the moment, you kind of have to ask yourself, is that the most intelligent thing to play? But at the same time, I've been known to be wrong, so we're just blindly following a set of rules and seeing how it treats us. In this instance, we took a loss, which is a perfectly normal thing to expect in any trading program. So we took the loss. on that 1 p.m. candle. It just came down and tagged us out like all at once. That was vicious. That was mean. Like that's the kind of trade that almost gets you emotional because you're just like, oh, fine. I didn't want that money anyways. Um, sorry, that was 2 p.m. So that was type 1, that was the type 2. For the type 1, we had one contract. For the type 2, we had, how many contracts did I trade last time? 2 contracts. Good enough. 2 contracts, and that's a loss and a loss. So on that first one, I lost 36 points. On the second one, I lost 20 points. Okay. And we are still not done with April, are we? Oh yeah, that is. Oh no, we're still on April 29th. Let's go. I'm only backtesting through April because I've already been recording for an hour and it's almost midnight and I want to go to bed, but I wanted to complete this. I would accept a retest here when I see a break like that. If we get a retest, I'm going short, probably with the stop up here, give it a little bit of space, and think that we're hopping down to the next zone. So in that case, that would be my type 1 retest. At 1700 hours. Wow. Type 1 for one contract. Let's run this thing down to here. And that was still the 20. What? Really? Oh, no, that's May 1st. What's 1700? 5 o'clock. Type 1 with one contract. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll draw a vertical line here so I could save my progress because I'm going to wrap it up here. Let's crunch numbers a little bit here. What you've all been waiting for. So risking $200 at a time, risk per trade is $200. Our net P&L is $2,892. Yeah, $2,892.50 trading through the month of April with absolutely no risk management no management of trades other than putting the trade on and then just blindly letting it play out to either stop loss or take profit. And so the result of that is a pretty decent win. Actually, if you were trading with if this represented truly 1% of your total account, you've got about a $20,000 account. This is over 10% in a month that you made just trading the zones and just letting them play out however the heck they're going to play out with, like I said, no additional management on top of it, which is fascinating to me. I did not expect to see results that good. So, very, very informative, just as far as how simple trading can be when you really just roboticize it. Wins, we got to count these manually because I don't know how to count words in Excel. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 wins. Losses is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 12 wins, 8 losses. So total trades is going to be equals, that plus that. That way we can keep track of that moving forward. Total trade is going to be 20. So win ratio is going to be equals that divided by 20. And we'll format that as percent. So you actually only got a 60% win rate on this. And came out with nearly $3,000 in profit. Minus fees and commissions, of course, but wow. Wow. Like for trading with an account of that size, risking $200 per trade and with zero trade management, that's perfectly acceptable to me. Everything about that's just like, oh yeah, cool, perfect. That to me is completely acceptable. You're only winning 60% of the time. You're making nearly 3 grand on a small account. Like that. Uh, that's honestly, I'm surprised. I'm actually excited to go back through and continue doing this backtesting then and um, see how it does. Because that right there, what more is there that you could ask for? Really? Like, that's I'm shocked, honestly. I would have thought that it would have done far worse than this. I did not expect to see that kind of a return with such low risk, with a 60% win ratio. And it's really, I think the really interesting thing here is the Type 2s are really what seem to contribute to it. Oh no, that one was a loss. That one was a win. That one was a win. The Type 2s seem to be like quick, almost scalps when they're run at a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So interesting that like a Type 2 in futures, you're getting in and out in 2 or 3 hours and locking in however much profit you're going to lock in. And once again, zero trade management. Absolutely no trade management whatsoever. Cool. Well, I'm going to wrap this up here. This has been going on long enough. If you stuck with it the whole way, you're absolutely insane. This is not entertaining in any way whatsoever. But thanks for sticking with it. And I guess we'll see you next week.